what he says in his affidavit, Mr. Tetar, is not the truth. I just want to put that on record.
Thank you. Actually, its relevancy would have been borne by an incremental question, but we realize that we have to remember the terms of reference at all times. Now, is it true that you made submissions to this commission before you came to testify? I'm not talking about your statement.
But can I just ask, but they were allowed, on the French, as I understand, were allowed to hand in this document regarding Tetar, but I'm not allowed to put it in perspective.
I think we've parted ways with that question. Let's forget about it. I'm not even going to demonstrate anything about it. And I'm happy that you did draw the Commission's attention that we did discuss it with you before we brought it before the Commission. And the Commission reminded us that, is it relevant to the terms of reference? We could demonstrate to the Commission that it is. But there are better questions that we could ask because we want to close our line of asking you questions shortly. Shall we proceed, please?
Do you mind?
Now, before you came to testify, and before you made a statement that is before the Commission, you made submissions. Am I right?
Please explain the submissions.
It means you made a statement other than the statement that is before the Commission.
I understand. I thought you were referring to previous presentations I did. Yes, it's true.
Now, that statement accompanied some documents that we supplied to the Commission at the beginning, before the Commission's hearing started, isn't it?
That's correct.
I know that you've also made a statement before this Commission and you've also attached documents. Am I right?
That's correct.
Are these documents that you made before you came to testify, when you supplied documents to the Commission in the beginning, including these documents that are before the Commission in your statement, part of the documents which are in the containers?
Parts are in the containers, and many of the documents are like scanned documents on my computer or Word documents on my computer. That's not necessarily in the container.
So am I right to say the documents initially that you gave to the Commission together with that statement, together with the documents accompanying your statement, were retrieved from the containers?
I handed the Commission, or I have access, I had access to the containers, and then also I handed the hard drive with all scanned documentation and other documents that was created on a computer-related electronic documents for the Commission.
Do you feel and sense that the documents that you gave to the Commission in the beginning, when you make that statement, and the documents that you've just given to the Commission now, accompanying your current statements, given the fact that you've been the investigator for almost how many years, 10 or 15 years, are going to assist the Commission?
You used the word gave. I just made the documents available because the containers had too many documents to make copies and to hand it to the Commission. I know that some part of the BAE seized documents that were given to the Commission for perusal, but I had since 2012 access to the documentation. You mentioned that I had 10 or 15 years. Although I was investigating officer on the arms deal, must remember that I only investigated from 2001 August, the specific part of Shabir Sheikh. And then it ran over to President Zuma. And only in 2008, I actually started with end of 2008, really started with the BAE, and that part was also, the BAE investigation was in his baby shoes, although it was there from 2000. Must remember it, when the British sent their MLA and the information we received, then I only got really involved. And the same with the GFC, which not really ever started because we were waiting for that MLA for the Germans. We tried to locate that, and then I think Richard Young opened the matter in November 2000, very late. He opened the matter. So to answer and say that all the documentation there is sufficient or not, it's difficult to say, but that there is information of a crime. The only information I know that is there in one container and that I investigated, I was part of a team investigating, is the matter of Shabir Shaik and President Zuma, that I feel there is a case. The other documentation is available, but I can't say exactly what each and every document is there.
Now, my question is simple. You've started investigating in 2001, and we know that the investigation rendered was stopped in 2010, whilst you've been investigating for approximately 10 years or 9 years. Am I right?
I didn't hear you say about 9 or 10. What did I investigate, 10 or 9 years?
You started the investigation in 2001, and the investigation was started in 2010, which means that you've been investigating approximately 9 to 10 years, to be precise, 9 years. Am I right?
But it depends on, in respect of which part of the arms deal. I didn't investigate the whole arms deal for that 10 years. Big part, 7 years of that was the Shabir Shaik, Jacob Zuma matter.
Fair enough. Let's make it 7 years, 5 years, 3 years. Or look at it between 2001 and 2010. It's up to you what figure do you want to put. But we know that you investigated. Now my question is, you haven't been the investigating officer. Are you able to tell this commission that the documents that you have provided to it in the beginning, when you make those submissions or statements, and the current documents that you've just submitted now, do satisfy you that they will assist this commission?
I believe it can assist the commission, but if I listen to the terms of reference yesterday and how it is interpreted, and as I stated yesterday, there is, I don't know of any proof of a prima facie matter in respect of any government official that would have influenced the awarding of the main contracts. But what I do have, where they can assist the commission, as I say, is there's many documents that the documents, it shows that there are red flags, as Advocate Lebara yesterday mentioned, a lot of red flags that may be followed up. But I'm not sure if it is the Commission's mandate to institute or to recommend that a further investigation be instituted. If not, then I'm not sure if there's much documents in terms of that mandate that can assist them.
Now, I'm talking to you in your capacity, if you're kept on as the investigating officer. We know that we cannot be able to pinpoint that you investigated for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, but we know that it was between 2001 and 2010. You approximate for 6 years. All that I want is for you to be able to say with your head held high that the documents that you have brought before the commission, in as far as you're concerned, you yourself as the investigating officer, would assist the commission to discharge its mandate. Only those that you brought. There might be other documents. We know that documents have been dumped. We know that they've not been indexed and paginated. For instance, We took some witnesses through some documents that we have not attached. I mean, my team took naval officers through documents that you have not attached.
I doubt if the documents will assist then that I have here in the panels, in the mandate, because we couldn't retrieve the documents from overseas that we believed that is important. But to answer, I understand your question was, the documents that's here, and as I understand, the mandate now of the Commission, the documents here, I doubt if it will assist.
Now you're changing. I'm confused. You're saying two different things. Initially you said they will. Now you are saying because there were documents that could not be retrieved overseas, you think that these documents that are before the Commission that were brought by you would not assist. Now, which one is correct? Because you are giving me two versions.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Might I be allowed to just raise a point here if it so pleases the Honourable Commission? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the way I understood the evidence of Colonel de Plooy to have been is not that it's a contradiction, but that Colonel de Plooy has indicated that he's brought all the documents to the Honourable Commission to assist the Commission as far as he's only the messenger and he's not investigated everything. To now confront Colonel de Plooy by saying he's given a contradictory version cannot be correct, because he's now being asked questions whether it will assist the Commission, which is placing him in the unenviable position of trying to put himself in the shoes of the Honourable Commission. That is very definitely not a fair question, and with respect, it appears to me, unless I'm mistaken, which I respectfully submit I'm not, that my learned friend, Advocate Labala, is perhaps not correct in the question which he poses to the witness. It's not fair, and I respectfully submit it's not correct. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Commissioner.
Can I chip in? And I think I agree with you, because I think all that the witness did was to bring to the attention documents that he thought might assist the Commission.
But Chair and esteemed Commissioners, I'm taken aback. This witness is an investigating officer. Experience. You've heard even his senior, General Mering, saying, in actual fact, if you want to talk about the investigations, the person better qualified to talk to the investigation is this witness. Now, this is a witness better qualified to bring all the relevant documents before the Commission. And our question is simple. For instance, the allegations that we as evidence leaders, short of saying we are lazy, we don't want to go and look at the containers. Why should you go and look at the containers if we have managed to lead evidence up to so far on all the relevant issues and the terms of reference? Why should you go and look at the containers if this witness is investigating?
If I can interrupt you. I understand the point that you're trying to establish. If you don't mind, can you rephrase the question then? Can you rephrase the question?
Colonel de Plooy, given what you've testified up to so far, with your experience as an investigating officer, particularly having spent a period spanning from 2001 to 2009 in the investigation of the arms procurement strategic packages. Are you saying that the team of evidence leaders still have to go to the containers? Now, given what you have said up to so far, bearing in mind that you have brought several documents before the Commission.
Honourable Commissioner, yes, I understand the question now better. It is difficult to just say yes or no, because for me, I'm just an investigating officer. It's for the Commission to decide and make a decision on the documentation I've put in front of them that's part of this bundle, as well as the documentation in the containers that has been to the disposal for the past years, is not for me to say yes or no. I'm not trying to interpret the mandate or the terms of reference, and I'm not going to go that far then. For me, and as I see my role, is to come here to say, this is what documents under my control. This is what, there's a summary of some of the information. There may be documents there in the container, especially maybe BAE. I went through it. I perused it. The SFO perused it. We didn't find anything specifically significant in those documentation, but then you must understand or remember also that the day of the searches, lots of documentation the morning before we search was taken away from Fano Tsongwane's businesses. We have an affidavit to that effect. I don't know if information leaked, but when we went into the offices, many files were removed. We had difficulty getting access to his house. But to answer you, for me, it is for the Commission to decide. All I'm doing here is to say, this is what I have. The evidential value, it's up to the Commission if they can use it or not. But as investigating officer, I'm trying to say, this is everything, or most of it, or some of it, that I could lay my hands on in a short period of time, and that I think it will assist the Commission in their decision.
So the ones that you brought before the Commission are specifically significant and important to assist the Commission in as far as you're concerned?
Yes, from my perspective.
Do you agree with General Mering when he says that the documents were dumped and they're not indexed and paginated?
The word dump may be a very strong word, but it was in strong rooms, safes, in 3 different safes, and due to the change to the SABC, they took the DSO Gauteng offices over Promat building there in Silverton, or Weevan Park, and I had to move these documents to containers to make space for the SABC, and it is in the containers, and there are shelves in the containers where it is being put there, lack of a better word, but the numbering of the documents, what happened with the BAE is very difficult. We started to number it. It's a long process. To give an indication, after the Shabir Sheikh searches in 2001, it took me 6 months to index and to number the documentation and make the necessary copies, because you're working with copies, not with the original files. And each and every document that you see gets a number, and it's the same kind of number that I've stamped on my affidavit and my bundle. So it takes a while. So the BAE, we were busy trying to index it, or not necessarily index it, number it, but then also a scanning process has to be conducted after that, and that can take you easily with all those documents up to a year, but there were lots of pressures. And taking in consideration all the other difficulties I previously testified about, the MLAs and all that, and things that kept me busy, I won't say it was dumped, but it was put there in a container for safekeeping.
General Mering further said that because the documents are not indexed and paginated, it would be difficult to retrieve information.
It makes it more difficult because, as I always stated, it is the documentation in respect to the case that I was involved in, the Shabir Sheikh again and the President Zuma matter. Everything was indexed, numbered, and also scanned and OCR'd. And by that I mean you can search, everything is then put on your computer, and if I want to search for one document or a name, I can immediately retrieve all the documents. I had the search engine, DT search, also all the documentation that was retrieved via computers, which millions of documents. So if I key in a name, it brings up all the documentation, makes my searches much more easier. But in the BAE matter and GFC and the others, all the other investigations, that was not the case. And when I had to prepare, I agree with General Myron, it is very difficult then to go and find a specific document. And therefore, as I said, I did some searches on my computer, and I could have missed also some documentation that might be also assistance.
I just want to ask you 3 remaining questions. I know the commissioners have indulged with us.
I hope these are the last 2 questions, Advocate Liver. Because I see yesterday you said to me 35 minutes. I thought by 20 to 10 you'll be done. But I see you're going for the 2nd hour now.
Chair, I've learned to mislead people since I joined this commission, particularly yourselves, and I apologize, especially on time factors. I apologize, Chair. You have testified that there were different teams in investigating these leaks, and the advocates who were part of the teams actually were trained to investigate. Am I right?
I won't say trained to investigate, but I undertook a more investigative role at the DSO than I would say maybe in the normal terms with the SECU.
So they were qualified to investigate?
They were qualified to investigate.
Do you know that there are critics of this commission, am I right? If you don't understand, I'll repeat my question. If you don't understand what do I mean by critics, I'll also qualify. You do know that there are critics of this commission, am I right?
Only what I might have read in the newspapers, but how true, I don't know.
I'm talking about those who are commentators, those who are authorities, or alleged authorities on various subjects in as far as arms procurement is concerned.
Are you saying you're talking just about the commission now, or the whole arms deal?
I'm talking about the commission in the context of the arms deal. I'm talking about the arms deal, arms procurement packages in the context of the commission. Now, I'm talking about the critics who have written books, who have made comments about arms procurement in the context of this commission.
Yes, I know about people or individuals that criticizing the investigation of the arms deal.
No, I'm not even conditioning them as criticizing the investigation of the Arms Procurement Commission. But let's be specific. Do you know Mr. Andrew Feinstein?
Yes.
Mr. Paul Holden?
I don't know him personally, but Andrew Feinstein I know because we met him in London on trying to obtain an affidavit from him, but we were unsuccessful. I think it was in 2004, if I'm not mistaken, but Paul Holden, no, only that I know he wrote a book.
So you do know about Mr. Paul Holden, but you know Mr. Andrew Feinstein personally?
Yeah, as I said, I met him, but not like in person.
Mr. Van Vuren?
Which Van Vuren is the one from the security?
Let's confine ourselves to, for the moment, Mr. Andrew Feinstein and Mr. Paul Holden. In your investigative functions, did you consult with them?
As I said, we tried to consult with Mr. Andrew Feinstein, but my memory, I can't remember if he didn't show up or not, but what I do know is that we weren't successful in obtaining an affidavit from him where I was involved.
Do you think that testimony was going to assist the Commission? Do you think? I'm eliciting your opinion, and you'll understand. Your opinion may not matter, but you'll understand where I'm going. Do you think that testimony was going to assist the Commission, bearing in mind that you struggled to get hold of both of them or one of them?
Only Mr. Feinstein. Paul Holden, he wasn't part of anything that I know why we would have wanted to talk to him. He didn't fit in anything. The only reason, as I remember, and I'm talking from my memory, is that Mr. Feinstein was at Scopa, and we needed what happened there at Scopa in that investigation, because I think the AG report was referred to Scopa and so on, and there was what we wanted to talk to him, what happened there before he left.
Did other members of your teams talk to them in the investigative capacity?
It's possible that Advocate Downer may have spoken to him, if I recollect correctly. I think he spoke to him over the phone, maybe or via email, I don't know. But I know they had more of a relationship than I and Mr. Feinstein.
Are there any reports prepared in that regard?
Not that I know of.
Why is that so? Having consulted with one of them.
To use the word consult, consult is where you, and my definition of consult is I sit down with a person and I ask him questions and he answers, and I ask him again questions, that's consult. For just talking to someone maybe and asking, will you be willing to talk to us? Will you come forward? This and this, it's not necessarily a consultation, that's just an invitation.
So you went all the way to, is it London?
That's correct.
What were you going to do in London?
We went to London and also to France and to Switzerland to obtain evidence from witnesses to assist. And what happened in London was, as I explained yesterday, and I'm opening now again, another part is like when you look at the KPMG report, it is the other aspects that we had to talk or obtain affidavits from people overseas. We even went to Malaysia to obtain affidavits from people there that would have invested in South Africa, where Shabir Sheikh and Kobe Holdings was involved. Like for instance, Malaysia is Wilson On Point. We went to Glasgow, that is the professor at the university. So it's not part of this.
Actually, I want to focus on Mr. Holden and Mr. Feinstein. What would you do if you felt that the evidence was going to assist the commission? Because I'm sensing that you don't think the evidence was going to assist the commission, and I'll tell you why if you want us to debate it. Because you could have done much more. What would you do if you felt that the evidence was going to assist the commission?
I don't know if it will assist the commission. All I know is that while we investigated, we wanted to get his version regarding that period of the scope of period and what happened there, if I remember correctly. And that's it. I don't know if it will assist. I can't comment.
Why do you think the evidence wouldn't assist the commission? And I agree with you. This team agrees with you. I don't know what the commission thinks, but this team thinks they won't assist the commission. Why do you think they wouldn't assist the commission?
I didn't say it wouldn't. I said I don't know. So I don't know if it will. So I can't comment. I can't say it will or it will not.
Let's be specific. Do you think they'll assist the commission?
Again, I don't know.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I beg an indulgence to perhaps interrupt again if the Honourable Commission so allows me. The witness leader is repeating the questions and the witness is repeatedly answering the question. And the witness is trying to answer truthfully. He stays with his version, but there seems to be an attempt to bring him onto the field of speculation, which is not going to assist the Honourable Commission with all due respect. How should this witness know precisely what that person whom he wanted to see would be able to convey? And then also in the second instance, how do we know at this stage if that would have assisted the Honourable Commission? The witness has testified about it, he's answered it. With all due respect to the Honourable Witness Leader, it's done and dusted. We're wasting time with this. Thank you, Honourable Chair and Commissioner.
Thank you. I don't quite agree with the objection. I think I'm going to allow Advocate Lebala to continue with that question, because we are also interested to know whether those people would have assisted the commission or not. He's an investigating officer. He knew why he wanted an affidavit from them. He had investigated. He went up to London, also tried to get an affidavit from Feinstein. We want to know whether in his view, or from the information that they had, whether he thinks that Mr. Feinstein would have assisted us or not. I'm not quite sure what the answer is now. So I think Advocate Lebala is entitled to continue with his cross-examination. We also want to understand that. I'm sorry, not cross-examination. He must continue trying to find an answer which we all understand from those witnesses, as far as, particularly as far as Mr. Feinstein is concerned. He wanted to take an affidavit from him. If he wanted to take an affidavit from him, it's because there are certain things that he wanted from him.
Honourable Chair, thank you. I do understand now from what perspective the question is coming from. I will have to, that was in 2003, 2004. I can't, from the top of my head, remember specifically. I will have to do some research on my computer and see what the reasons were, what specifically we wanted from him, because I understand that, you know, when as soon as he said no, or he's not going to assist, it is like going out of your head. So I will have to need time to go and research that, to come back to the Commission to answer that.
So if I understand you well, you tried to get him to give you an affidavit, and he said no. He refused to give you an affidavit.
Honourable Chair, that's how I remember it. We didn't receive any affidavit from him.
Thank you.
The last question on this is, am I right to say you didn't pursue him vigorously?
We tried, if I remember correctly, but it is difficult with witnesses. Even if you compel a witness according to the Criminal Procedure Act 205, but even in our, or in the NPA's Act Section 28, and they do not want to divulge the information, and then the excuse normally is selective amnesia, and they just can't remember. And you also don't want to call a witness to the stand that is hostile. It's not always good for you, but that was a decision from the prosecutors to do that or not.
If I understand, in a nutshell, he didn't want to cooperate with your investigations.
That was my perception of it, Honourable Commissioner.
Now, as an investigating officer, were you aware of the book or the books they've written? I'm talking about Mr. Holden and Mr. Feinstein.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Were you interested in reading them?
I've read Mr. Feinstein's book many years ago.
Did you pursue him and ask where did he get this information from that is contained in his book?
I didn't really pursue him, but in my own mind I was not satisfied or happy with the fact that the contents of the book and what was written in the newspapers about the book, I felt that why didn't he give that information the day or the years when we wanted or needed his assistance or his views and putting the truth out there. Because we don't see this as we try to build this case just from the one side, because we were after the truth. At the end of the day, we're trying to put the truth in front of the court. And I was a bit in myself unhappy with the fact that now he's writing a book and he should have assisted us earlier. But what his reasons were and all that, I don't know. All I'm just saying is that was my internal feeling, my perception.
Was your view shared by some of members of your teams who were investigating the arms procurement strategic packages?
My colleague Isaac Deploy, we discussed it and we felt the same way. but we didn't really discuss it with Advocate Downer and Steinberg because it was water under the bridge.
So there's no report prepared on what your team has read or what you have read from the books of Mr. Holden and Mr. Feinstein?
No.
In the context of the investigations in as far as the arms procurement strategic packages are concerned?
No. I don't know if the case would have pursued against President Zuma if the prosecutor would have decided to then again pursue Mr. Feinstein to obtain an affidavit for that purposes. I don't know.
But I'll tell you why I've been asking you these questions. It appears that, correct me if I'm wrong, your team and yourself at one time or the other came to the conclusion that what we have read in the books was not going to assist the investigation.
No, I never looked at it in that way, to read the book and then to say this will assist us. No.
I'll tell you why, because if there was something diligent as your teams were, the good work that they were producing, advocates were investigators, qualified to investigate, a report would have been prepared. If something came out from these books when you were investigating.
My recollection is that when we wanted his assistance was before he wrote the book. And after he written the book, as I said now, it was still a question of will he assist. But according to my memory, in the beginning in the Shabir Sheikh trial, it was of some importance for us to obtain an affidavit from him or to get his version that transpired from the Scopa in those days. But as I said, I will have to do some research to give more detail. And then the book was, there was no cooperation, then the book was written. So I don't know if Advocate Downer at that stage felt that, because we haven't discussed the list of witnesses that we going to call specifically, or I was informed by Advocate Downer or Advocate Steinberg to try to obtain affidavit again from Mr. Feinstein. So to answer you the book, for me, I doubt if it played any role, because when we follow up on evidence, or trying is not necessarily taking a book and to follow up on certain things. In certain circumstances, we do that. But in this case, it was there. We know what we wanted, I assume.
Do you agree that if anything was but important in as far as the writings of Holden or Feinstein are concerned, or in as far as that which the investigators wanted to sort from them was important, there would have been a statement or a report to that effect?
Almost I missed that question. Can you just repeat?
If Feinstein's evidence, testimony, whether written or not, was important, if Holden's evidence or statements were important, whether written or not, if their evidence was important to the Commission, there would have been a statement or report on that. Do you agree?
As I said, in 2004, we wanted a statement from Mr. Feinstein. He was in London. And it's not like in South Africa where you can compel someone via Section 28 or a Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act. So we were absolutely relied on his willingness to see us. And he didn't give us that necessary cooperation. Holden, I don't know. I've never spoken to him. I don't know what he is saying. I don't know what is his link to the arms deal. I don't know him.
I've seen reports and statements that shows that MLAs were important.
I'm sorry, Libana. I know that, normally when you estimate time, you are not that accurate. But I'm sure you can't be that bad. I see it's already 2 hours now. The 2 hours turned into 35 minutes. How long do you think you still need to be busy with the witness?
My questions are in heads. I have one last head question on payments and one question on the ADS. One question on payment, one question on the ADS. I don't know that there will be incremental questions from there. It means I have 2 headings, and my questions are headed, one is ADS, the other is payments, and under them there could be 1 or 2 questions. But there's just one last question on this aspect, and I go to the payments.
Maybe let's ask that last question, then we'll break for tea. But then remember that yesterday the witness said that he wanted to comment on the evidence of 4 witnesses who have already testified. I hope you'll keep that in mind.
Thank you, Chair. I've seen reports on Liechtenstein, the MLA, because they were very important, am I right? I mean, I've taken you through various memorandums and letters exchanged.
That is correct. I just want, before you continue, I asked the Commission, I have to, if I need to answer further on the Andrew Feinstein subject, I'll have to do more research. Do I have to, or is it?
No, these questions are practical questions. You don't have to do research. What I'm asking you now, it's practical from demonstrated by the evidence before the Commission. For instance, I've just demonstrated to you that the issue of the MLA, Liechtenstein, was very important. Hence, there are reports on it. One can read about it. Do you agree?
Yes.
Do you agree that if the testimony of Feinstein and Holden was that important, there would have been a report saying Feinstein was followed, he never cooperated, his testimony is still needed, or evidence is still needed, or his statement is still needed? Do you agree?
I do not agree, because that is the decision from the prosecutor. Sometimes in any court case or criminal matter, at some stage, you decide also, you can, I think, if my memory serves me right, on the list of witnesses in the Shabir Sheikh case, there was more than 100. And I think we only let 50-odd witnesses, because that is the decision from the prosecutor. And maybe, although it was important to know, we felt that we had enough that we can go without his evidence, although it is still important, but we can go to trial without his evidence. But again, because he didn't want to cooperate at that stage. So for me to answer that, you have to ask Advocate Billy Downer why didn't he write a memo about it? Because at the end we went to trial without his evidence and we got a conviction.
I'm sure you wouldn't have known what sort of evidence he would provide if you didn't have his statement. Surely you can't be asked whether he would have assisted or not when you'd never got a statement from him and therefore never knew exactly what type of evidence he had.
That's correct, Honourable Commissioner.
You consulted with Richard Young?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Terry Crawford Brown?
No.
Ms. Patricia DeLille?
Yes.
Ms. Taliat?
Yes.
You consulted with them before you had their statements, am I right? Oh, you didn't have their statements to consult with them, isn't it?
It depends, because you mentioned a couple of names, and you must bear in mind that during that JIT process in 2000 and 2001, many people were approached, as I tried to explain yesterday, as I understand the process. And you will also find Alain Tetar affidavit in there, the Section 20, and I think Patricia DeLille was also in that period, early period. And then during the Sheikh trial, that was the first time I met her, and then we sat down going through the evidence that she has to testify about. That is, but to say we consulted and then an affidavit, normally what will happen if you take an affidavit, yes, you consult, you make notes, you go back, you draft the affidavit, you consult with the witness and say you're happy, and after the third or fourth draft maybe, everybody, because it must be what he is saying. I mustn't put words in the witness's mouth. And then we agree and he's happy, he read it, and it's done. So consult. Sometimes you consult and you decide, no, it's not necessary for an affidavit, and you don't take one.
Mr. David Maynard, you consulted with him?
No, never.
Now, let's be specific. You did not need Ms. Delil's statement in order to consult with him. You did not have read his statement first to consult with him. Am I right?
I did not. Are you saying I did not read Andrew Feinstein's affidavit before there was no affidavit?
No, please listen. You don't have to have read the statement of Ms. Delil in order to go and consult with him. Do you agree?
As far as I remember, no.
Now, let's be specific. Did you read the statement of Ms. Delil first and you went to consult with him?
Him, you mean Andrew Feinstein?
My vernacular disposition comes in. The issue is, do you agree that you don't have to read the witness's statement in order to consult with the witness? Yes or no?
Yes, you don't, absolutely.
Let's be specific. You did not have to read the statement of Ms. Delil. We know that you consulted with her. Or you need not have established whether she made a statement first in order for you to go and consult with her.
Yes, I don't have to, because if you receive, for instance, you see a letter. The letter was...
Answered me. I think we should get going. You've answered me. Now, do you agree that you need not have heard the statement of Feinstein or Mr. Holden in order to go and consult with them? Yes or no?
The purpose of consultation is to obtain an affidavit.
I think you've answered me. Now, do you know the following? The African defense system was the preferred bidder in as far as the combat suite is concerned. Do you know that fact? African's defense system. We know that Mr. Shabir Sheikh bought shares in African's defense system. I'll refresh you. And Thompson bought shares in ADS. Do you know that piece of testimony?
Yes, I know that according to the find it in the KPMG report.
And there's been evidence before this commission that historically, even in the 80s, that has been the position, albeit ADS might not have been called ADS in the 80s. Testimony came that Mr. Bill Fenter owned it. It took dimensions, and I'm refreshing my mind, of Altec up until it became ADS, because it was involved in different wings, include arms procurement.
That is correct. I think it was first Altec Defense Systems, and it was changed to African Defense Systems.
Now, when Mr. Sheikh bought shares in ADS, do you agree that it was a foregone conclusion that ADS was the preferred bidder in as far as the combat suite system is concerned?
By the time I got involved, and according to what I've read, I understood that ADS was African Defense Systems, or Altec Defense Systems, was the only company in South Africa, and therefore it was the correct BEE partner for Thompson.
Do you agree that whether... I'm sorry, Advocate Luwala. Can we just adjourn for Chi? And just try and clarify with this witness what he means by a BE partner. I don't quite understand what he's saying, what he means when he's saying ADS was a BE partner. The evidence that we have is that ADS is not a BE, was not a BE company. It had nothing to do with BE, ADS. ADS had dealings with the army for some years. It had nothing to do with BEE. Can you just ask the witness to look at it and that portion of the evidence before he continues to testify? Because even yesterday, I had him saying that ADS was a BEE company. ADS was not a BEE company according to the evidence that we have. Maybe let's adjourn for tea and then we'll take that point up just after tea. Thank you.